Lost Ark Glaivier Guide. What's up, Saviors? GH here. This is gonna be a Glaivier guide that focuses on Pinnacle Specialization. And with that said, let's not waste any more time. Let's do this. Glaivier is a melee DPS class that uses a lance, and she specializes on dealing damage on an enemy. And with the use of her specialties and proper class engraving, Glaivier can deal one of the best damage output in Lost Ark. With one caveat though, that you need to get used to how Glaivier's is played. And it's also one of the classes in Lost Ark that doesn't need the critical stat because most of her skills got crit or is guaranteed crit. Now, Glaivier's specialty is called Focus and Flurry, which is the ability to switch between two stances. Focus refers to the red skills and Flurry refers to the blue skills. Now, these 3 bars in here, you need to fill this up by hitting enemies, and the more specialization you have, the easier it will be full. And depending on the number of bars you have, you'll get a buff when you switch. And as much as possible, only switch when you have 3 bars. And if you're interested in what you'll get if you switch to bar 1, bar 2, or bar 3, here is the buffs on the screen. This one is from red skills switching to blue skills. And this is the buff that you get if you switch from blue skills to red skills. Just pause if you wanna see it. But I must repeat, as much as possible, switch stances only when you have 3 bars. Or if you're put in a situation that you need to switch, like for example, you need stagger on the blue skills, or maybe for the mobility, or you need the red skills because you want to generate the specialty meter much faster. Now, you can further improve the buffs that Flurry and Focus gives if you have the main engraving of this build called Pinnacle. And when you use this, your level 3 bar will give you better buffs. And to be exact, here is the buff from blue to red. And here is the buff from red to blue. And now that we're talking about engravings, here is the engravings that you should use. First is Pinnacle. You gotta use this because this is the centerpiece of this build. It will give you insane damage increase. Now, second engraving is Keen Blunt Weapon. At level 3, it gives you 50% crit damage. But there's a chance that you deal 20% less damage. Don't worry about the 20% less damage because it hardly happens, it's negligible. This would be perfect because you hit critical for the most part here. Therefore, you can take advantage of the 50% extra crit damage. That's your 2 mandatory engravings. Focus on getting those. After those, you can try to use Grudge to get more damage, but you'll also receive more damage. So think about it. Or Cursed Doll, which will increase your attack but lessen your healing. Now, if you're feeling bad about Grudge or Cursed Doll, which I don't blame you, you can try using Mass Increase. This will increase your attack power but lower your attack speed. So keep in mind that if you have any skill with long animation, you should find a way to reduce the animation through skill augments because mass increase will severely affect those long animation skills. Next engraving that you can try is Ambush Master. This will increase the damage of back attacks that successfully hits the back of the enemy. And since most of your abilities are back attack types, Ambush Master will be decent. Last engraving you can try, and this is only for new players, guys. I must repeat, this is only for new players still learning Lost Ark. And I'm talking about heavy armor. At level 3, it will give you 100% to all defense and it will make you tougher and less likely to die on regular attacks. Just a reminder, guys, if you're getting good, please remove your heavy armor and replace it with something better like Grudge, Cursed Doll, Mass Increase, or Ambush Master. Now, stats. You're gonna be specialization here with swiftness on your necklace. So mainly specialization, then swiftness. Put all your stats in specialization, then the rest is swiftness. Because having more specialization will give you more specialty meter gained, which means you will gain more bars faster. Now that we're done with the engravings and stats, now skills. We're gonna start from the top and we're only gonna discuss the important skills. If you have any questions on a skill not mentioned, please comment down below. And the first skill is optional, and it's Chain Slash. It's your destruction and stagger skill. For the most part, you will have this because weak point and stagger is hard to come by in Glaiviers. And if you so choose to have this, at level 4, it's triple threat for the damage, and at level 7, it's concussion for the stagger. And at level 10, it's Brilliant Spear for a bit of range and damage. As for the rune, Overwhelm will be nice here. Next skill is Flash Kick. It's your mobility skill. This is only level 1, but if you have a little bit of skill points left, you can add excellent mobility at level 4. Next skill is Torn Jab. This is your counter skill. Only use this when you need to counter, or maybe last resort for stagger. But for the most part, you keep this for counter. Level 1 is enough, and if you have an extra skill point, put excellent mobility at level 4. Next skill is a mandatory skill. You need this, and it's Half Moon Slash. This is your convection skill. You use this to inflict convection. Now at level 4, it's Blurry Expertise for damage. And at level 7, it's Weak Point Detection for crit rate. And at level 10, it's Blade of Tornado. You're gonna want Blade of Tornado because this will allow Half Moon Slash to create a tornado that will continually inflict damage. And you only need to release it. There's not that much animation. And what's good about this is it's the perfect skill for the Conviction Rune. Now, as for the Conviction Rune, it gives any skill the ability to activate the Conviction buff, which can be consumed by the Judgment Rune. So you're gonna need another rune to consume the Conviction buff. I will explain it in a minute at the point where I explain the skill that uses the Judgment Rune. Now, going back to Half Moon Slash, this is perfect for conviction because of the tornado that continually hit enemies, and every hit can activate conviction. And while the tornado is happening, you can spam the Judgment skill to consume the conviction buff, and you will get mana regeneration and cooldown reduction of your skill. And in this guide, my Judgment skill is Wheel of Blades. This is your Judgment skill because it has a higher chance of activating the Judgment buff, even at lower level Judgment Rune, because it does a lot of hits. And it also deals a decent amount of damage and stagger. At level 4, it's debatable. You can use excellent mobility or magic control if you're having some mana problems, which occurs in this build as you get good in playing Glaivier. Now at level 7, it's Weak Point Detection for damage, and at level 10, it's Consecutive Spin to help in activation of Judgment, and obviously, the rune that you use here is Judgment. Now let's go up because we skip Raging Dragon Slash. This is one of your strongest blue skill, and depending on your build, it could be even better. Now at level 4, take the cooldown reduction if you need cooldown reduction. And you can take Flame Slash here if the cooldown augment doesn't fit your attack pattern. So you have to test this to see what fits your gear and build. But for the most part, choose cooldown reduction so that it will ensure that you can use Dragon Slash every time. Now at level 7, take Quick Slash for quicker damage, but you can take Precise Slash for more damage. But problem there is it will cast slower. And if you have mass increase in your engravings, stick with Quick Slash. And at level 10, pick Awaken for damage and crit rate. As for the rune, you can use Overwhelm here for more stagger. The next skill is super optional. I personally use this for mobbing, and it's Cutting Wind. As a Glaivier, this is your best AoE for mobbing. If you wanna take this, you might wanna take skill points from Chain Slash. And at level 4, pick Quick Prep. And at level 7, pick Valor because this will make it better in terms of mobbing. And at level 10, it's Enhanced Strike for mobbing. I must remind you, this is optional. As for the rune, use Gale Wind. And the last skill on the blue side, this is mandatory, and it's Shackling Blue Dragon. This deals damage and lowers the crit resistance of your enemies. Yes, you will benefit from this, but the major beneficiary of this skill is your teammates. Now, at level 4, it's Quick Prep. At level 7, it's Blitz for instant skill usage. And at level 10, it's Critical Spear to increase the reduction of critical resistance. As for the runes, you can use Rage. Okay, there goes the blue skills. Now, the red skills. First is Spiraling Spear. This is your counter and weak point skill on the red side. This is good at level 1. Second red skill is Four-Headed Dragon. This is a filler skill. Only use this when your good skills are on cooldown. Next skill is Thrust of Destruction. This is one of your main red skill because of the guaranteed crit and damage. At level 4, for the most part, you use Quick Prep here, but there will be situations that you're gonna need Shield. So you're not wrong if you wanna take Shield. And at level 7, pick Spear of Destruction. And at level 10, it's Air Ripping Thrust for damage and crit rate. As for the rune, Bleed will be nice here, or the Rage rune. Fourth red skill is Starfall Pounce. It's another one of your main red skill because this is guaranteed crit, and at level 4 pick weak point detection for more damage to bosses, and at level 7 pick quick prep for cooldown reduction, and at level 10 it's powerful finish for guaranteed crit on boss enemies or push immune foes. As for the rune, Gale Wind or Rage will be okay here. Next skill is Dragon Scale Defense. It's your counter stance. Using this requires proficiency in fighting bosses because you gotta know when the attack is coming. And this is fine at level 1. Last red skill is Red Dragon's Horn. Again, it's one of your main skills for crit damage and guaranteed critical. At level 4, it's Quick Prep because you need this as much as possible. And at level 7, it's Spear of Destruction for 100% crit rate. And at level 10, it's Fatal Aim for crit damage. As for the Awakening, both Awakening skill is good, but the Red Awakening will be better for accuracy and single target damage. And the Blue Awakening is better for mobbing. Just a reminder guys, as much as possible use your Awakening with the blue skills. Because when you're on the blue skills, you get extra critical rate. Now skill usage. In general, start with the red skills because you can fill up the bars faster there. And this is how I approach skill usage. At first, I set the stance to red and start using Thrust of Destruction, Starfall Pounce, followed by Red Dragon's Horn. And then I switch to blue and start using Half Moon Slash to inflict conviction, and then consume conviction with Wheel of Blades. And then I use Shackling Blue Dragon, Raging Dragon Slash, then Chain Slash or Cutting Wind, depends on what your setup is. Then I go back to red. And if the cooldown is not yet over on your 3 main red skills, try using Four-Headed Dragon or Spiraling Spear for the meantime. And just a reminder guys, as you get farther and farther into the game, you will get better equipments that further reduce the cooldown of your skills. And if you're at that point, stop using the filler skills and focus on the main skills. And yeah, almost forgot. As much as possible, use your Awakening only after the Judgment buff. As for the gems, use cooldown reduction gems on your main skills, especially on the 3 red main skills, and Shackling Blue Dragon, and the rest should be damage gems. And as for the card sets, early on in the game, try using boss reduction cards and add elemental damage reduction or whatever you want, because early in the game, it doesn't really matter. But when you're in the end game, try using Lost Wind Clef or even better, Light of Salvation for Legion raids. And that's it guys, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.